Vietnam.
So, you said you were in the Navy?
Yeah, right.
Wow. You were. Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
Well, let me put my most memorable one. I was young when I was in Korea. But we landed the 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marine Division on Incheon. And after that, we was landing them on there on a mite boat. And when we went ashore, the North Koreans was waiting on us. And we dropped the ramp to let the troops off. We had 6 Marines, 3 sailors killed, and quite a few Marines and sailors wounded. And that right there.
Were you ever wounded in war?
Yes, I was wounded there in Korea, and I went out to the hospital ship and patched me up, stayed on there a couple of days, and 3 days, or I forget exactly, and I went back to my unit.
Wow.
And then I come back after that. I came back to the States. I got aboard the USS Fremont, APA 44. And after that, I went to a ship, a minesweeper, the MSC 202, the Spoonbill. All right, I didn't care for that ship. So orders came in for a bosun mate to be transferred to the USS Mauna Kea, which was a big ammunition ship. It was being built in Mississippi. So it had to be towed out of Mississippi and brought down to Spires Point, Maryland to be finished up and commissioned. So we done that, and we took it round the Horn to the west coast, through the Panama Canal to the west coast. Went over there and we made cruises back and forth to Japan, Philippines, Austria, everywhere, delivering ammunition to different ships. And when I left there, I came to Charleston, South Carolina, to the degaussing station. That's where we run submarines through the degaussing range, run them back and forth through there and draw all the magnetic out of the sub. And we do that, and then sometime we pull them in the pair and we wrap them with a cable. About a lot of cables wrapped around that submarine, and they put electricity to it, and that way they demagnetize it. They put everything operating on it, and we after I left there, I went to a tugboat out of Brooklyn, New York, and I stayed on that. I didn't care a whole lot for it, but I stayed up there for 1 year on that, and he got transferred to Little Creek, Virginia. And in Little Creek, Virginia, I was on the LST 1163, the USS Waldo County. I stayed on that for about 3 years, and I went to another LST, the 1032, the USS Monmouth County. Left there on that one, and went again. We got orders to go to Vietnam. So we went down to Cuba, went through training in Cuba, went on down to Panama Canal, went back through the Panama Canal to the Pacific side, and went straight to Vietnam. But we had a little problem. We had to stop in Guam for about 2 weeks there and go to the shipyard there and have some work done and this, that, and the other. Left there, went on to Vietnam, and on that LST, it was a ship in shallow water. You could run shallow water narrow in the narrow channels of Vietnam into Saigon, Da Nang, and all those places. And we'd go ashore there, take the ship, have it loaded with different things, and go right in on the pier, right on the beach, the landing, drop that big ramp, and offload the equipment, whatever we had to offload, and then backload whatever we had to offload. All right, that lasted a little over a year. Then I flew from there, we went to Saigon, caught a plane and flew back to California, and I had orders to go to back to Little Creek to the USS Travis County, LST 1160. So I didn't stick long on there. And I got transferred, I got orders to go to the Beachmasters. So we got the Beachmasters, and that way we'd make trips to the either Puerto Rico, in the Mediterranean, the different places where we'd have the Marines with us. And we'd land them, drill, and have exercises on the beach. And we'd done that, and I think I stayed there about 2 years. Then I got a set of orders to go back to Vietnam in the Brown Water Navy, PBRs. That was a 35-foot boat, had twin 50 calibers on the bow of it, had M60s on the center, and a grenade launcher on the stern. And we would go on those, we'd go all up through the Vam Co Dong, Vam Co Tay, Cambodian border, and all over Vietnam. And on those boats, we get in a lot of fights, had a lot of people killed, and we killed a lot of people. And we, like I say, would travel through them places and this, that, and the other. And the living was tough. You didn't, when you took a shower, washed up, you'd wash off into a canal where the water was running. There'd be a lot of monsoon season, it'd be raining. But what hurt you so bad at that, taking a shower in there and washing yourself off, when you took the shower, the rice paddies, there was so much starch in the water coming out the rice paddies, it would get on your skin. You had no way good fresh water to wash that starch off you. And a lot of guys really got a jock itch and this, that, and the other. It's really bad from your waist to all your crotch and this, that, and the other. And it was tough living. And what you'd eat, you'd be eating out of sea rations, out of cans, We'd get all that sea ration, had a little pot on the boat, and what we'd call it the mulligan stew. Just put everything you had it together, And then I got out of that, and I went to come back to the States, and then I got another set of orders to go back to Vietnam again. So this time I was in River Division 535, 553, and same thing happened, this, that, and the other, but to make a long story short, it was rough, tough, this, that, and the other, and I was wounded twice in Vietnam. So I got all total, I have 3 Purple Hearts.
Wow.
And I put, after I come back from Vietnam the last time, I was on this destroyer, DD-8 17, the USS Corey. And we left in the winter months, in November, and left and went to England, went up through the English Channel, and went to Norway. Went up in Norway, and oh, it was so cold, just cold, cold, cold. You couldn't reach out and touch the ship metal anywhere because your hand would freeze to it. You had to have heavy gloves on, and this, that, and the other. And then when I finished all that up, I come back to Norfolk. We come back in, and I had another set of orders to go back to Vietnam again. And I had a 12-year-old girl at the time, 11, 12, something like that. And my wife liked to have a nervous breakdown. She says, Sam, you got your time in to retire. She says, why don't you go ahead and retire? Which I wanted to do 30 years, but only done 24. But anyway, I came back and to Norfolk there, and the ship I was on then was leaving in 2 or 3 weeks to go to Vietnam again. And I put my papers in, and I retired from the Navy. And if I live to see the 6th day of this coming March, I will be retired from the Navy for 45 years.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. It's really incredible.
Any other questions?
After service, did you work or go back to school?
No, sir. After my service, I got out. Before I got out the Navy, I went to tractor trailer driving school. And when I retired from the Navy, just before I retired, I started driving tractor and trailer. And I drove tractor and trailer for 38 years and 1 day. And I retired off the truck when I was 78 years old. And since then, I've been retired, living at my house over on Joyner Bridge Road in Four Oaks.
Did you make any close friendships in service?
Oh, yes. I got a lot of my friends. I made a lot of friends. When you live on aboard a ship, and you got friends you eat with every day and maybe sleep this close to him every night on a bunk, whatever, you make friends. In fact, one of my good friends, he was 86 years old, the 6th day of December, and he died in January, one of my closest friends. He and I put the USS Mauna Kea in commission together in 1957.
Wow, really sorry about that.
And he passed away this past January. A good man. And friends, we have a family, we have a ship's reunion about every 18 months, sometimes it's 2 years. And a lot of the guys that I knew, a lot of them on that special ship, they're not with us anymore. The people that put the ship in commission, there are a lot, but just a few of them living.
That's how it was for my grandfather. He said my grandfather was in World War II. Mm-hmm. He died in 2007.
2007.
Yeah, but I remember because he was in the Air Force, mm-hmm. and because I would remember because he took me to a few of them when I was younger. Every January 1st, mm-hmm. they would have a meeting of everyone who was in his division.
Right.
And the last one he went to in 2007, there were 5 people.
Yeah,
left.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
5 people.
Yeah. So, because my dad was looking into it, I think now there's none left.
Right, probably not.
Yeah, they all died before 2010 or so.
All right, and guys, I'll tell you something. If you guys plan to go into service of any kind, either one of you, or any of you, I like all services. You make, it's up to you, individual. You can do anything you want in the service if you try. You can get schooling and this, that, and the other. But I prefer either the Navy or the Air Force because the schooling is better. And the Marine Corps, it's good, they got good schooling, but a lot of times you get like Camp Lejeune down here. You'll get stationed there, you'll stay there 4 years or so at a time. I never did like that. The Army the same way. I liked it going at ships and in the Navy because you didn't stay at a place very long time if you didn't want to. I like to move around. I like to be Germany today, and a couple of weeks I'll be over here in Italy, and what a lot of girls is, and this, that, and that, you know. That's enjoying yourself, and that way you get to see the world. You see, and the Navy going all over that way is a good schooling for you. You meet so many people, in different countries and all, and it's really an education.
Wow. You have anything, Bernie? Well, I'm out. Thank you very much for your service to our country, and thank you for interviewing with us today.
And I appreciate
Really had a great time hearing about everything.
Right, and see, on the American Legion, we send guys to state trooper school, this, that, and the other up there, Raleigh at the State Police Academy. Yeah. A lot of good friends, got it all through the work.
Yeah.
A lot of good friends, a lot of nice girlfriends too. Through your years, you'll meet a lot of them. Thank you, boys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.